In recent years, it seems the video game movie curse is slowly starting to disappear. Not to say that every video game movie that comes out nowadays is good, as you're still likely to get a Mortal Kombat 2021 or a Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. However, studios have been putting much more effort into adapting popular game franchises to the big screen, with big stars, big budgets, and trying to be much more faithful to their source material. One beloved series that's been trying desperately to make it to movie theaters is the Uncharted franchise, with announcements of a film adaptation being made all the way back in 2008. Now over a decade later, Nathan Drake has finally been brought into live action in Uncharted. Deviating from the source material, we follow a much younger Nathan Drake played by Tom Holland, who's your average good-looking pickpocket with a heart of gold. Ever since he was a kid, all he's ever thought about was discovering a lost treasure of Ferdinand Magellan. Well, his childhood dream appears to be coming true when he's recruited by Mark Wahlberg's Sully, who believes Nate holds the key to locating the lost fortune. Like any adventure film, the duo must use the ancient clues to locate more clues, all while being chased by a maniacal millionaire and his team of mercenaries also seeking the gold. It's about as standard a treasure hunt movie plot you could get. Now, I feel it's important to note that I've never played the Uncharted games, only having a vague knowledge of the series' core elements. This is important to mention as much of the backlash towards this movie is the changes made from the game, mainly Tom Holland as Nathan Drake and Mark Wahlberg as Sully. I will admit that even with my minimal knowledge, these casting choices are a bit confusing. No offense to Tom Holland, but he doesn't feel like he's a young Nathan Drake. He feels like he's just playing a more confident Peter Parker. Mark Wahlberg just feels like he's doing his usual Mark Wahlberg tough guy shtick. With all that being said, even though I don't feel they were right to portray these specific characters, that doesn't mean that they're bad. The two actually work really well off each other, and as long as you forget what characters they're supposed to be playing, they do make for a really entertaining duo. While the two leads get to shine, I feel the rest of the cast is given very little to work with, the biggest waste being Antonio Banderas, who could make for a fun villain, but he is incredibly underutilized. The film also suffers from some really bad pacing. At just under 2 hours, the movie feels like 2.5. Even with some fun action set pieces, the movie is trying way too hard to be like other adventure flicks. Instead of being an Uncharted movie, it feels much more like a watered-down National Treasure knockoff. It's not a good sign for your globe-trotting treasure hunt movie when the treasure hunt is the worst part of your movie. The film at least delivers a really fun climax, but it's not really worth sitting through an otherwise forgettable flick. Overall, Uncharted probably fails even harder at being an adaptation of its source material, but as a casual viewer, it's simply a generic action film. With the two leads help elevate some of the duller scenes, the film simply doesn't do enough to set itself apart from films that clearly inspired it. Fun action aside, Uncharted is far from being the diamond in the rough it clearly wants to be. For SUTV Entertainment, I'm Adam Beebe.